When I was 19, my brother ended up passing away from a fentanyl overdose. As somebody who struggles very potently with mental illness, his death almost killed me as well. The thought of my brother being punished in the hereafter is actually what ended up causing me to look for God again. The way that I saw it was if I found God, maybe I could possibly save my brother.
Peyton dibesarkan dari keluarga Kristen, tetapi pada usia 10 tahun Peyton mulai kehilangan keimanan, karena ia tidak percaya bahwa Yesus adalah Tuhan. Ketika usia 14 tahun Peyton memutuskan untuk berhenti belajar agama Kristen, dan Peyton menjalani kehidupan dengan bebas tanpa adanya hubungan dengan Tuhan.
Before I reverted, I couldn't exactly put myself into a specific sect of Christianity or Catholicism because I attended a Christian church and a Catholic school and I was never baptized. So it's really safe to say that I was confused, and during that time I never made the connection that Jesus was God, and I never was taught that Jesus was God. When I was about 10 and I was sat down and told that I was expected to believe that Jesus was God and that's what people believed, I really struggled with that fact. I had a really hard time understanding why people believed that Jesus was God, and that really strayed me away from the Christian Catholic kind of environment. With all the confusion that was happening, I very quickly started to lose faith. And then after a series of extremely unfortunate events, I did end up just completely stopping my practice around 14 years old. After I stopped practicing, I quickly started down the wrong path and just did whatever I felt like doing. I won't go into details, but it was very safe to assume that my heart was filled with just pure hate. I wasn't a good person morally by any means.
Ketika Peyton kehilangan kakaknya yang meninggal karena overdosis, ia takut kalau kakaknya akan dihukum di akhirat. Di saat itulah Peyton mulai percaya pada Tuhan, dan ia memutuskan untuk mencari Tuhan dengan harapan bisa menyelamatkan kakaknya.
When I was 19, my brother ended up passing away from a fentanyl overdose. As somebody who struggles very potently with mental illness, his death almost killed me as well. At that point in my life, I hit a low that I never thought would be possible. But also with that grief, I became extremely terrified for my brother. Although I wasn't practicing anymore, I still believed in God, and for the first time in years, I absolutely feared his wrath. The thought of my brother being punished in the hereafter is actually what ended up causing me to look for God again. The way that I saw it was if I found God, maybe I could possibly save my brother.
Peyton mulai kembali mempelajari agama Kristen, dan Peyton juga tidak menemukan jawaban yang dulu ia pertanyakan. Peyton juga mempelajari agama Yahudi, dan akhirnya ia menemukan Islam di TikTok, dan ia mulai mempelajari Islam dengan cepat, dan ia percaya 100% bahwa Islam adalah agama yang benar dan masuk akal.
I obviously started by looking back into Christianity and Catholicism, and then I went and looked into Judaism. The reason that I waited so long to look into Islam is because I didn't know that Islam was Abrahamic, and I believed in God, I believed in the prophets. It was actually on TikTok that I found out that Muslims believed in the same God that I did. I started researching, and after realizing that my views aligned very well with Islam in terms of the prophet and beliefs, it was very easy for me to start my conversion. And I did decide to wait until I was 100% sure that Islam was the truth before I converted. I did convert last Ramadan, alhamdulillah, in 2023.
Setelah masuk Islam, Peyton merasakan kedamaian yang luar biasa, sama seperti yang dirasakan mu'alaf lainnya. Dan setelah masuk Islam, Peyton lebih mudah mengelola atau mengatasi penyakit mentalnya, di mana ia diagnosa dengan 4 penyakit mental yang berbeda. Namun setelah pindah agama, tidak membuatnya sembuh dari penyakitnya, tapi Peyton sadar bahwa ia merasa lebih baik dari sebelum masuk Islam.
Of course, with converting, everything about my life changed. As I had mentioned before, I struggle very potently with mental illness, and I am diagnosed with 4 different mental illnesses as of today. While my illness was not cured when I converted, I did find new coping mechanisms, and I did realize that this is my test in this world, and it's something that I can do with Allah's help. Since converting, it has become much easier to manage my symptoms and cope with my illness. Also, most reverts agree that there's this overwhelming sense of peace that you develop once you join Islam, and that never really goes away. So that's something that I've got to enjoy since converting. I find it really hard to explain, but it feels like my soul can finally breathe without it feeling like it's gonna explode. Islam has changed my life completely 100%. As crazy as it may sound to people that were raised Muslim, almost everything that I did on a daily basis was considered haram, and I had to make massive changes. Almost every single aspect of my life had to be tweaked in one way or another. It was incredibly challenging, and I would be a liar if I said that there aren't things that I miss and that I wish I could have in this dunya. But once I got rid of the things that Allah deemed unfit, I realized that my life is so much richer. A huge example of this is me getting sober. I have been very vocal about how being sober in Canada is not normal by any means and how difficult it can be to stay sober here. To take the steps to get sober in a society that deems alcohol to be the only way to have fun was a massive step in the right direction, in my opinion. There were so many things I thought I needed that were actually causing me distress that once I got rid of, I just felt so much better. I like to tell reverts that whatever Allah takes away in this dunya, He will give back to you 10 times more in the hereafter.
Yang membuat Peyton tertarik dengan Islam saat pertama kali melihat wanita Muslim, Peyton langsung jatuh cinta dengan hijab dan pakaian yang sopan. Setelah masuk Islam, Peyton berjuang untuk memakai hijab dan pakaian sopan saat keluar rumah, dan itu tidaklah mudah untuk seorang mualaf di mana Peyton harus melewati kritikan dari teman dan orang sekitar.
One of my biggest motivators to convert was actually the hijab. When looking into Islam, I immediately fell in love with Eastern and modest fashion. I knew that even if I didn't become Muslim, I would probably put on the hijab and start dressing modestly. But please do not get it confused. Wearing the hijab full-time was very difficult for me, and I don't want to make it seem like it was easy, because it's not. I believe truly that the hijab is just another test for women. It's not comfortable to wear, it's hot, it's a sensory nightmare for neurodivergent people, and it's simply inconvenient. But that does not mean that it is not mandatory for women. If you are a sister and struggling to wear your hijab, don't listen to anybody's criticism, just listen to Allah. Listen to your heart and wear it just when you want to at first, only when you feel like it. I promise you, if you're patient with yourself, you will fall in love with the hijab the same way that I did.
Saat Peyton memberitahu orang tuanya bahwa ia masuk Islam, tentu orang tuanya marah dan kesal mendengar hal itu. Namun karena melihat banyak perubahan dari diri Peyton, orang tua perlahan memahaminya.
Telling my family was also very scary. My father is an atheist and my stepmom is Catholic. My father has always given me and my siblings religious freedom, and we were allowed to go and learn and believe in whatever we wanted to. My dad just didn't want to hear about it. You would assume, knowing this information, my dad would have had no problem with my conversion, but you are wrong. My stepmom was very confused, and my father was pretty upset. You gotta understand that they were scared for me, and they were wondering why I was putting myself in danger. After a long conversation and about 1,000,000 questions, my stepmom was finally on board. She finally understood that everything she thought about it was wrong, and she supported me. My father did take a little bit of warming up, but I think once he saw the life changes I was making, he became on board as well.